After going through a harsh training course, Rick, our main character, lies on the ground, his strength almost exhausted, half believing that he is on the brink of death. From the darkness, a figure appeared, looking at Rick with satisfied eyes, praising his tenacity and assuring him that the dreaded E-rank exam is now a trivial matter. Rick acknowledged the compliment but couldn't shake the feeling that he had a long way to go. The next day, at the clubhouse, when Rick registered for the E-rank promotion exam, the receptionist recognized him and called him by name in a friendly way. She introduces herself as Arisa, and the two rejoice at their reunion. Rick is surprised to learn that Arisa has moved to the Central Guild Hall, as well as that she discovers that he has quit his office job to pursue the adventurer path. Amidst the sea of young people at the competition area, Rick's heart sinks when he remembers his age, 32, far beyond the ideal age to start an adventurous life. His musings were interrupted when a middle-aged man harassed Arisa, trying to ask her out on a date. Even though she politely refused, the man persisted and became aggressive. Rick intervenes, de-escalates the situation. But the other guy suddenly rushed forward and threw a punch. Noticing his slowness, Rick easily dodged and punched back. Take him down immediately. Arisa is grateful, gave Rick the exam ticket with the number 4242. A number that Rick felt was strange. Leaving the guild hall, Rick suddenly meets Lynette, a beautiful night elf, who asks about his registration. Overjoyed, Rick welcomed this unexpected meeting. Rick couldn't help but secretly admire Lynette's beauty, and with a slightly nostalgic smile, he joked about how if he were 10 years younger, especially when he remembered Lynette's two outstanding features. She reminded Rick to quickly go to the test site, and also informed that his master would be there to observe his performance. This news made Rick a little worried, because he was afraid that his teacher's presence could cause trouble. Upon arriving at the exam area, Rick observed the young contestants with strong potential. And his sense of confidence began to waver. They seem willing to be whatever they want. However, Lynette praised Rick's remarkable progress after 2 years of arduous training, suggesting that other contestants will have to doubt their own abilities when witnessing his strength. She also advised him to exercise a little restraint to avoid discouraging them too much. Rick is well aware of his strength and maturity, but also aware of his feelings of loneliness throughout his years of rigorous training, first in the mountains, then within the walls of the clubhouse. He had never had the chance to test himself against common adventurers to understand his abilities. Lynette explains the rating system, from F to S, causing Rick to modestly estimate that he could reach at least E rank. With Lynette's encouragement, she reminded him that he was a member of the Orichalcum Fist, a title that should bolster his confidence. Meanwhile, at the clubhouse, Arisa instructs the bodyguards to eliminate the middle-aged man that Rick dealt with earlier. When checking, the bodyguard noticed that his armor had a perfect dent in the shape of a fist. And it turned out he was an A-rank adventurer. This discovery led people to speculate about the intensity of training Rick went through. During the E-rank promotion exam, Rick faces 2 tests. The first is to measure attack power by punching a special slime punching bag. The instructor encourages the contestants to put all their strength into the punch. Thinking back on the training process, Rick remembered his master's teachings that he had to train his body enough to punch and break a bag of yellow slime with his bare hands, a challenge that Rick initially thought was impossible, until his master easily made and destroyed it in an instant. With the strict discipline of practicing 50,000 punches a day, Rick steps up to face the challenge, noticing the green slime punching bag, the weakest type. Other colors such as blue, yellow, red, silver, and yellow represent the slime's increasing levels of strength. A young noble, second son of the Diramuto family, wanting to show off his strength and prove his status. He chanted magic, creates a small fireball, then throw it into the slime bag. The crowd immediately marveled at the magical display, but Rick found the performance unremarkable for someone hailed as a genius. Why so weak? Now it's Rick's turn to step up and face the slime. When he approached, the crowd began to whisper and discuss his age. A person who was no longer young and was taking the E-rank promotion exam. The judge, curious about Rick's background, turned to the records and noted that adventurers usually practiced magic until around the age of 20, after which it was difficult to make significant progress. Observing that Rick's magic level is below average, the examiner bluntly advises him to consider another career if he fails the exam. Rick felt the weight of everyone's eyes, saw the pity in their eyes. But he still maintained his determination. Step up? He took off his coat and punched the slime bag with terrible power, causing the bag to be destroyed and even penetrate the back wall. The crowd was stunned, amazed by his sudden strength, completely surprised by the level of destruction Rick's punch caused. Rick realized that perhaps he had shown too little restraint when punching the bag of slime. In the written exam, Rick got a perfect score. making the young genius jealous and secretly angry that an ordinary person in his 40s like Rick became an obstacle on his path, and not just once. However, he remains confident with the upcoming test of defensive strength. Contrary to expectations, the genius was surprised when he saw that Rick could block a level 4 spell, an achievement that he himself had not been able to achieve. The examiner, impressed with Rick's abilities, decides to increase the difficulty to level 5 magic and advises Rick to use higher level defensive magic to deal with it. However, Rick confesses that he can only use level 1 magic for both attack and defense. Amazed by Rick's precise magical control, the examiner had to cast a level 5 spell. Surprisingly, Rick blocked the attack completely smoothly. Rick's performance attracted the attention of a first-class knight. When arriving at the scene and listening to the examiner's story, Knight of Surprise, an F-rank adventurer who destroyed a bag of mid-level slimes including green and yellow slimes, then block a level 5 spell from a level 2 mage with only a level 1 spell. The knight was impressed. Even he, a first-class knight, could not do this. The knight reviews Rick's file and is surprised to learn that Rick, at age 32, she has worked as a receptionist for 14 years. As Rick rested on the chair with Lynette, the young genius appeared, eyes filled with tears, accusing Rick of overshadowing the moment during his exam. His older sister, Angelica, the eldest daughter of the Diramuto family, faces Rick. He immediately corrected his real age, affirming that he was about 30, not 40. Angelica threw her gloves on the ground, challenging Rick to a fight. Unfamiliar with aristocratic customs, Rick innocently picked up the gloves, joking that she needed to know more about washing. Lynette explains that by picking up the gloves, Rick had unwittingly accepted the challenge. Angelica quickly set the conditions. The loser will have to serve the winner forever. As Rick contemplates Angelica's power, Lynette explains further. Although Angelica is a second-class knight, there is a legendary class above the first class, the special class, achieved by only 13 people. A second-rank knight is equivalent to a B-rank adventurer. Lynette reassures Rick about his chances of winning. But Rick has a hunch that Angelica is a formidable opponent. Preparing himself for the match, he told himself to give his all against a second-rate knight. Angelica declared that she would be lenient, because Rick was only an F-rank adventurer. She chanted a strengthening spell to increase her body's strength, and immediately emitted an aura. Without warning, Angelica rushed forward with amazing speed, swinging her sword so powerfully that it cut through the wall behind Rick like butter, leaving him stunned by her strength. While Rick was facing Angelica, her younger brother spoke up, called her Lightning Angelica, a reference to the speed with which her sister rose to fame. Angelica warned that her initial miss was intentional and assured her that she would not miss a second time. As you prepare for your next lightning jump, Rick noticed again, that speed is slower than my normal running speed, making him secretly doubt her reputation. With an easy jump, Rick avoided Angelica's next slash, leaving her in amazement. Angelica couldn't understand how someone she thought was over 40 could react so quickly, something she believed only a handful of first-class knights could do. Confident that her recent miss was just luck, she tried the lightning jump again. But, unfortunately, her foot accidentally slipped on a small stone, causing her to lose her balance and spin uncontrollably. Rick, somewhat surprised, wondering if I could avoid such random attacks. However, he dodged each attack, humbly thinking that it was just beginner's luck, and that his strength was only worthy of an F rank, nothing more. He recognized the potential danger in Angelica's attacks and praised her abilities. Meanwhile, Angelica secretly breathed a sigh of relief because Rick didn't notice her slip. Determined, she announced that she would use an even faster lightning jump. Rick noticed her speed had tripled, but remained wary, suspecting that this might be a trap. While Rick dodged the attack, Angelica became even more frustrated by an F-ranker. Was able to avoid her Rin flash jump, which she could only use 2 more times. She hesitated, but then regained her composure for another attack. Rick dodged again, leaving Angelica with no other choice. In addition to unleashing his ultimate move, Angelica hesitated, gathering her courage for a final attack with Blink Step Rhine. But Rick had anticipated it and was ready to counterattack. However, fate intervened when Angelica slipped again on the same stone. Turns the attack into an unintended low lunge. Reacting quickly, Rick chose to punch the ground. Use force to push Angelica back, helping her avoid a direct hit. Silently, Angelica thanked the stone for her slip that saved her. Rick, on the other hand, was impressed with the way she dodged, mistaking it for a deliberate dodge. Attracted by this F-rank adventurer, Angelica is curious about Rick's past. He simply recounted how he used to be a receptionist in the guild hall and had just switched to being an F-rank adventurer 2 years ago. Angelica was a bit skeptical, but Rick assured him he was trying his best and expressed gratitude for having a worthy opponent. In the end, Angelica accepted defeat, acknowledging Rick's talent. Rick is stunned by Angelica's sudden surrender. He originally thought that she was the one who had the upper hand. As she tried to leave, Rick called out, reminding her of their agreement, and encouraged her to keep her promise of the duel. However, this only makes Angelica flee faster. Meanwhile, in the exam room, Rick is nervous about his first competition. Lynette gently reassured him, joking that even if he failed, he just needed to triple his training intensity. Rick, with a sour comment, said that triple intensity training would probably kill him. Their story was interrupted by Hailing, eldest son of the Diramuto family, who approached Lynette with the intention of flirting, using a joke accidentally learned from YouTube. After the opening sentence, he held Lynette's hand and boldly asked her to become his second wife. Rick immediately intervened, playing the role of protector, pretending that Lynette was his girlfriend to stop Hailing's gossip. Rejected, Hailing laughed at Rick, calling him an ordinary middle-aged uncle, and quips about his F rank. Cocky, Hailing prides himself on being an A-rank adventurer, having started his career at the age of 14, and will oversee the simulated matches of the second test. With an arrogant attitude, he advised Lynette to leave Rick and choose him without thinking further. Lynette takes Rick's side, confirming to Hailing that they are indeed in a relationship. She then criticized Hailing for overusing perfume, making the scent unpleasant. Hailing, with a smug look, announced that he would oversee Rick's second round, determined to show Lynette the enormous difference in their social status. The tension was temporarily eased when the examiners announced the exam results, and Rick, relieved to see his number on the list, gently touched Lynette's shoulder to share his joy. He then quickly apologized for the fake girlfriend drama earlier, concerned that she might find it offensive. To Rick's surprise, Lynette confessed that she was actually having fun with the fake girlfriend drama. She then asked permission to leave to tell his group of friends the good news of Rick's success. Meanwhile, at a restaurant, Hailing sat angrily, suddenly kicked a nearby chair. Determined to find a way to bring down Rick, his anger increased when his two younger brothers arrived, complaining that Rick had bullied them. Realizing that Rick was the one who caused trouble for both his younger brother and sister, Hailing begins planning to sabotage Rick's exam. Meanwhile, Rick entered the exam hall to begin the second exam, where a middle-aged man approached. He introduced himself as Lynx Lolot, judges of this competition. Rick felt relieved, silently thankful that Hailing was not his judge. Lynx mentioned that he looked through Rick's profile and noticed his age. Rick braced himself for the slights, based on what he'd been through, but was surprised when Lynx expressed admiration for his determination. As a middle-aged man like Rick, Lynx encourages him to pursue his dreams. He shared about his desire to become A-list. Even though he had been an adventurer for 20 years and was still a B rank at the age of 40, he never gave up hope. This confession creates a moment of mutual encouragement between the two, ending with a sincere and determined handshake. After they broke up, Hailing, who had been watching from afar, silently followed Lynx to the stairs, intent to discuss something important. Rick glanced at the bulletin board and saw his number was in the group assigned to Lynx Lolot as a judge, making him initially very pleased. However, an announcement soon after revealed that Lynx Lolot could no longer continue as a judge, and Hailing are assigned as replacements, surprising and worrying Rick. Hearing others talk about Hailing as the worst judge, Rick was curious and asked further, then learned that Hailing was a famous A-rank magician, achieving the rank at the age of 17, and was known as the F-rank crusher for his harsh treatment of low-level adventurers during the exam. Rick knows that every year, those who compete for E-rank under Hailing's supervision must endure extremely fierce trials. Realizing that he was in Hailing's sights, Rick became even more afraid, especially when he saw a contestant leave the simulated competition area with multiple injuries and needing medical attention. During matches, Hailing did not hold back, using high-level magic against F-rank adventurers, making the audience unhappy and criticizing him for abusing his power with less experienced people. Hailing eagerly waited for Rick's turn, hoping to crush him. Suddenly, Hailing's butler came to see him and asked to settle things with Rick before it was his turn. And Hailing agreed. Rick, increasingly worried, considers his options. Lynette tries to reassure him, confident in Rick's true strength, but he is still too confused to listen. Suddenly, a suspicious man claiming to be a fortune teller offers to read Rick's fortune for free. Although skeptical but also curious about the suggestion, Rick agreed. When Rick sat down, Lynette noticed a magic circle appear on the chair, but was unable to warn her. Rick disappeared immediately. Reveals that the fortune teller is actually Angelica's younger brother, the victor because the trap was successful. However, Lynette quickly revealed her fierce side. Questioned him about where Rick was teleported to. Scared, the younger brother confessed that Rick was within a 100-meter radius of the area. Outside the exam site, Rick was calm, decided to go back to the lobby, but was surrounded by a group of adventurers summoned by Hailing's butler. The butler reveals that they are elite bodyguards of the Diramuto family, with the intention of destroying Rick. Realizing Angelica's younger brother's role in this conspiracy, Rick clearly understood the seriousness of his situation, facing at least 20 opponents, including B-rank adventurers and even an A-rank butler. He was completely inferior in numbers and strength. Rick prepares for the worst. At that moment, fortunately, Rick's master appears. Rick's master. Noticing Rick outside the exam venue, his master wondered why he didn't go inside when the exam was about to begin. Rick, trying to avoid it, said he was just going out to get some air. However, his master, a man who looked like an orc, sensed something was wrong from the men around Rick. Rick gently patted one of them on the shoulder, joking that they were just friends. But his master, with his sharp instincts, still felt that there was something unusual. Rick, feeling the situation getting tense, warns the butler that they should retreat if they want to save their lives. Ignoring the warning, one of them swung his sword to attack Master Rick, the orc, who was surprised by the strengthening magic the attacker used. Just pointed out that the sword needed further enhancement as it shattered upon impact. As the confrontation continued, the man attempted to throw a punch. But his fist was easily blocked by the orc, and his finger was broken as a lesson in strength. Immediately, the orc used magic to heal his finger, advised and suggested that he should practice more. The orc's display of strength and magical abilities amazed all present. They quickly realized that this person was Blowstone Ashork, a rare monster called a wise orc, not only qualified as an adventurer but also able to speak human language and use magic. The butler, realizing Blowstone's identity, admitted that they were facing a member of the Orichalcum Fist, an S-rank adventurer, and one of the strongest on the continent. However, the butler's subordinates underestimated their opponent, foolishly thinking they could overwhelm Blowstone thanks to their numbers, so they decided to rush in to attack. An elf-like person, it quickly becomes clear that these guys are not Rick's friends but have actually dragged Rick into trouble. Understanding that Rick always prioritizes resolving everything peacefully, but also realizing the urgency of the situation, the elf plans to cope using his latest invention, an HK-416 customized with magic stones, allowing bullets to explode upon impact. The elf started firing towards the adventurers. Makes Rick worried because this action seems to contradict the principle of peace. However, the elf reassures Rick that his bullets are non-lethal. The butler, realizing the elf's identity, understood the severity of the situation. Elf, half-dwarf, is famous for being the most powerful weapon maker, known as Mizit Eldwarf. Amidst the chaos, one of the men suddenly took a child hostage, ordered Rick's group to lie on the ground. The girl, confused and not understanding his intentions, asked again the reason for their actions. Rick, trying to calm the situation, told the girl that they just wanted to play. The angry man shouted at Rick to be quiet. This made the girl angry. To everyone's surprise, she suddenly unleashed a powerful level 7 spell without chanting, repelling the entire group of adventurers, and disrupts Rick's attempt at a peaceful settlement. The butler, witnessing this incredible power, revealed the girl's true identity. The girl is Alicette Dracul, a purebred vampire with outstanding talent. Even though she was only 10 years old, she had already earned the title of Devastation Prodigy, earning a reputation as an extremely powerful mage. This incident left a deep impression on the butler, causing him to reconsider his life choices. Overwhelmed by the power of the group of S-class adventurers and yearning for a more peaceful life, he decided to resign and pursue a peaceful life. Meanwhile, Lynette still holds Angelica's younger brother hostage. Insisted that she would not release him until Rick returned safely. The younger brother confidently declared that Rick would not be able to survive the attack of 20 elite bodyguards. However, contrary to his expectations, Rick appeared completely safe, leaving his younger brother shocked and indignant at this result. Lynette threw Angelica's little brother up to the ceiling, saying, "Good job, Rick." Seeing the damage to the wall, Rick wondered, and Lynette just shrugged, saying that she had adjusted a few places. Rick silently told himself that he had to be very careful not to make Lynette angry or afraid of her formidable strength. While waiting for the simulation competition, Rick sat on the bench, clearly nervous about the prospect of facing Hailing. Other candidates continued to walk out of the exam room with serious injuries. But despite his outward appearance of calmness, Lynette realized Rick's legs were shaking uncontrollably. Rick confesses his fear, pointing out the huge gap between his and Hailing's skills. He only knows how to use first-level magic for both offense and defense, just 2 skills, while Hailing possesses 1,000 skills. Lynette tries to reassure Rick, but he still has difficulty finding confidence. Kneel down before him. Lynette expressed her unwavering faith in Rick's abilities. Encourage you to believe in yourself. just like how she had trusted him since the day he decided to become an adventurer. Suddenly, Lynx appeared with severe injuries. Rick asked in surprise what happened, and Lynx reveals that he was attacked by Hailing to ensure Hailing would be Rick's judge. Lynx recounts how Hailing laid low, dream of building a school in his hometown, called him a third-rate guy, and a slow starter. Thinks Lynx will never reach a rank. Lynx advises Rick to withdraw from the exam, fearing that Hailing will treat Rick even worse. However, Rick resolutely faces Hailing, determined to defeat him. Meanwhile, Lynette finds a place to observe Rick's simulated match. Then meet Arisa. The two quickly became close and decided to watch the match together, with Lynette inviting Arisa to join her group. Blowstone greeted them warmly, asking them to sit next to Arisa. Mizette, noticing Arisa's appearance, was especially interested in her two big weapons, and expressed his desire for Arisa to sit next to him. Lynette, realizing Mizette's intentions, suggested that Arisa sit elsewhere to avoid any potential harassment. Arisa is surprised to learn about Rick's group members, and was especially surprised to learn that Blowstone was Rick's master. Blowstone explains that an adventurer's strength is based on 4 broad foundations: physical strength, body control, magical control, and magical energy. He noted that since Rick started his adventure at the age of 30, his magic power was quite limited, so he focused on training the remaining 3 foundations seriously. Blowstone shares that he trained Rick to develop extraordinary physical strength, to the point where he could take down the most dangerous monsters with just his bare hands, with the goal of turning him into One Punch Man. Mizette has been responsible for teaching Rick about magic control for the past 2 years. Meanwhile, Lynette, contrary to Arisa's belief that she is just an ordinary maid, is very strong and has trained Rick in body control. Blowstone proudly said that Rick absorbed the exercises vigorously and has now reached the strength of an S-rank adventurer. He added that if Rick took advantage of his hidden skills, he could surpass them all, but Rick still doesn't realize he possesses this skill. Mizette recalled that one time during training, Rick destroyed a large rock, but Blowstone considered it a basic skill for an F-rank adventurer. Mizette wondered if Rick, who still thought of himself as just an ordinary F-rank, can you do well in this simulated competition? When the match starts, Rick and Hailing exchange provocative words. Hailing quickly unleashed a Chantless level 3 fire magic attack towards Rick. Rick, surprised by the Chantless attack, bracing himself to endure as the magic hit him directly. When the smoke cleared, everyone was surprised when he saw Rick standing firm, unharmed. Hailing, impressed with Rick's stamina, increased his strength. Cast a level 4 magic attack. This time too, Rick continued to endure without backing down. Hailing then attacks Rick with various elemental spells: lightning, water, earth. But Rick still resists each seemingly unbreakable attack. Frustrated because magic doesn't work, Hailing switched to physical attacks, combining Blink Step Rhyme with sturdy fist key and rushed forward to deliver a strong punch to Rick. But Rick countered immediately, meeting Hailing's punch with his own, causing Hailing to be thrown back while Rick remained standing in place. After regaining his balance, Hailing realized there was something special about Rick. Rick realized that, although Hailing possessed abundant magical power, his other basic skills were still inferior to his. This discovery makes Rick more confident about his ability to win the simulated match. Hailing then unleashed a level 3 fire spell at full power, but Rick easily blocked it with his palm. When Hailing used Blink Step Rhyme to close the distance, Rick calmly declared that Hailing's speed was too slow. In response, Hailing activated the Iron Body skill to block Rick's punch, tries to maintain his position and finally admits that Rick is an excellent E-rank adventurer. However, Hailing still refuses to acknowledge Rick's strength, accusing him of just being lucky. Rick countered, explaining that he had used body manipulation, a skill that went far beyond normal enhancement magic. Hailing, piqued by curiosity, asked what Rick had done in the past 2 years to gain such power. Rick talks about his harsh training process. You must not leave the dragon's den until you defeat it. Having to swim in a monster's liquid trap until I suffocate, and was dropped into monster territory with a 1-ton weight, forced to run 100 kilometers. Arisa heard it and was surprised, asking if Rick died during training. Blowstone explains that Rick has died many times, but each time he revived him. Still skeptical, Hailing asks for more proof of what Rick told. Rick then shares his ultimate dream: defeat the world's strongest monster, Kaiser Arusapieto. This revelation made the Hailing family laugh loudly. Consider it a childish fantasy. Compare with the fairy tale legend of the hero Yamato, who defeated Arusapieto. Hailing mocks Rick's dream as something only children would imagine. Determined to finish the match, Hailing cast a level 7 Chantless spell, binding Rick's legs. Haven't stopped yet? Hailing proceeds to summon a giant golem using level 8 magic, claiming this is his strongest magic. Despite facing formidable challenges, Rick remained steadfast, clenching his fists. Be ready to confront both Hailings and Golems. Hailing mocks Rick for relying on low-level magic. But Rick confidently replied that he had practiced his magic hundreds of millions of times in the past 2 years. Arisa didn't believe it when she heard that, thinking it was impossible. However, Blowstone explains that thanks to special space-time magic, it is possible, and Rick achieved this feat himself. Hailing, eager to end the match, orders the golem to attack Rick. In response, Rick casts Airshot, his most serious level 1 spell, and threw a powerful punch at the golem. To everyone's surprise, Rick's punch completely destroyed the golem in a single blow. The force from the blow even caused Hailing to be thrown back and lose consciousness. After the dramatic match, the crowd appeared extremely impressed by Rick's strength and talent, constantly praising him. Rick then reunites with his master and team members, who congratulate him on his excellent performance. He felt a sense of satisfaction, realizing his true power, something he had underestimated all along. Although grateful for the rigorous training from Blowstone and Mise, Rick joked that it was they who distorted his common sense. Hailing, trying to leave the hall in a dazed state, was stopped by his younger brothers who were worried about him. However, Hailing insisted on coming out on his own. Rick approached Hailing, commenting on the irony of an elite genius like Hailing losing to a slow starter, like him. Hailing's younger brother tried to retaliate, but Angelica held him back. Hailing listened as Rick shared about his harsh training experiences, and expressed hope that Hailing would become a stronger adventurer. In response, Hailing vows that he will be the judge for Rick's next promotion exam, promises victory and advises Rick to get ready. After the exchange, Hailing and his family left. The exam results are announced, confirming that Rick has successfully promoted to rank E. This achievement causes Rick to reminisce about his childhood, 22 years ago, when he was a boy. Rick immersed himself in the book Legend of Hero Yamato, is about defeating the ultimate evil Kaiser Urusapito to obtain the Akashic Records, a treasure that can grant any wish. Inspired by this story, Rick dreams of becoming a hero to conquer that challenge. However, when he shared his aspirations, he encountered concern from his parents, who advised him to stay away from a life of adventure and pursue a more stable, respectable career. At school, teachers conduct a test to determine whether any students possess innate skills, a special personal ability that can help students win a scholarship to a knight or mage school. Surprisingly, even to himself, Rick discovered he had natural skills, though its nature and power remain a mystery. This discovery brings Rick great joy as he begins to envision a future where he can become a hero like Yamato from his favorite book. Filled with excitement, Rick eagerly shared the news of his natural skill with his parents. Rick is determined to pursue a career as an adventurer. However, despite initial excitement, Rick cannot access or use his mysterious skills. As the days pass, Rick's inability to exploit his innate skill becomes increasingly disillusioning, and he gradually begins to ignore it. As time passed, Rick grew into a young man, and eventually took a job as a receptionist at the Adventurers Guild. 14 years later, he was still there, his eyes tired from the monotonous days. One day, my close friend Zaid, now a B-rank adventurer, dropped by to pick up a new mission and by the way invited Rick out for drinks that night. On the way home, Rick reflects on Zaid's success and his life in prison, wondering how things would have been different if he had chosen the adventurer path 14 years ago. Suddenly, his thoughts were interrupted by panicked screams. A monster had appeared. Rick heads towards the commotion and encounters a giant demon. Seeing a maid nearby, he immediately rushed to protect her. However, what shocked him was that the maid easily slashed the demon with her bare hand. Turns out, that girl is Lynette. Lynette thanks Rick for his bravery but reassures her that she is a strong adventurer and fully capable of handling such threats. Rick also expressed his gratitude for saving his life, and curiously asked about Lynette's adventurer rank, having never seen adventurers fight. He guessed she might be a B-rank adventurer. However, Lynette pulled out her membership card, revealing that she was actually an S-rank adventurer, causing Rick to be extremely surprised by her noble status. Impressed by Lynette's ranking, Rick confided in her about his desire to become an adventurer in his 30s, wondering if it was possible. Lynette noted Rick's bravery when he tried to protect her, emphasizing that courage is an important quality for adventurers. Rick felt a glimmer of hope upon hearing this. But Lynette quickly balances his enthusiasm with reality. She explains that while courage is important, the ability to increase magic power usually stops after the age of 20. Lynette frankly advised that with this limitation, his ambition to start a career as an adventurer at his age was almost impossible. Rick accepts reality and heartbreaking disappointment. Rick felt relieved, even jokingly asking Lynette to hang out with him. Surprisingly, she agreed, meeting him at 7 p.m. the next night. The next day, Rick worked with excitement. making Arisa both amused and slightly annoyed by his excessive enthusiasm. Zaid also stopped by the guild to receive a B-rank quest. And I can't help but feel a little strange at Rick's unusually optimistic attitude. After work, Rick hurried to the meeting place, excited for the evening with Lynette. However, his plans were suddenly interrupted when monsters appeared. The townspeople estimated there were about 30 monsters and advised Rick to run away to save his life. Despite their warnings, Rick was worried about Lynette's safety, so he immediately ran to the scene of the commotion. When he arrived, he saw that Lynette had simply defeated all the monsters. Breathing a sigh of relief that she was still safe, Rick realized there was no need to worry about her thanks to that formidable power. But while the two were chatting, another group of monsters suddenly appeared. Lynette confidently reassures Rick that she can handle them herself and tells him to leave safely. However, when the situation becomes more tense, Lynette suddenly felt unwell and collapsed, unable to continue fighting. Just as a monster was about to attack, Zaid suddenly appeared in time. Save Rick from attack. Other adventurers also quickly joined, working together to deal with the monsters. Zaid reassures Rick that they are capable of handling the situation. As he watched the adventurers fight, Rick felt the fire within him of becoming an adventurer rise, admiring their courage and strength in the face of danger. However, Lynette, while still weak, warns Rick that they need to urge the adventurers to retreat immediately. Rick was confused, as the three adventurers seemed to be able to deal with the monsters. Lynette explains that she is not worried about the monsters they are fighting but about the appearance of a dragon nearby. Due to a psychological trauma from her past, Lynette cannot control her magic when affected by dragon magic. After Zaid and the other adventurers finish defeating the monster, Rick tries to warn them about the dragon, but it's too late. The dragon has arrived, and Zaid realized that without at least 5 A-rank adventurers, their only option was to run away. They tried to retreat, but the path was blocked by an invisible magical barrier, trapping them along with the dragon. Zaid tried to break the barrier, but all efforts were in vain. The barrier remained solid. In a bold and unexpected move, Rick stepped forward, facing the dragon alone, ready to fight even in extremely unfavorable situations. Facing almost certain death, Rick decides to confront the dragon with the spirit of a true adventurer. Standing before the mighty beast, a whirlwind of thoughts raced through his mind. Rick clearly understands that the chance of defeating the dragon alone is almost zero, even a light blow from it can be fatal. Despite his fear and doubt, he still heard a determined voice inside him urging him not to give up. Rick's indomitable spirit rekindled Zaid's courage, making him decide to join the fight. However, the dragon, regardless of their bravery, it ejected a terrifying stream of power that caused the entire group of adventurers to be thrown away, scattered and injured everywhere. As they prepare to face the worst, the dragon prepared to launch another devastating attack. Surprisingly, Rick, driven by his unyielding will, stand up and face the dragon directly. At that moment, he suddenly activated a special skill, Reckless Soul, and approached the dragon without hesitation. The dragon responded with a powerful stomp, aiming straight at Rick with its massive claws. Zaid and Lynette, unfamiliar with the concept of main character armor, looked at Rick with terrified eyes, fearing for his life. Standing firm against the enormous pressure, Rick not only resisted the dragon's pounce, but also pushed it away. Create a moment of inspiration. A powerful aura, similar to that of a Super Saiyan, suddenly surrounded his body, leaving both Zaid and Lynette stunned, especially since Rick doesn't inherently have much magical energy. Embrace the power that has just awakened. Rick admitted that this skill was a bit late, but he was ready to use it thoroughly. He unleashed a serious punch aimed at the dragon. At the same time, it released a huge stream of power towards him. Miraculously, Rick's punch penetrated the dragon's scales, showing off his extraordinary strength. Lynette and Zaid are amazed by Rick's strength. Dizzy and exhausted, Rick collapsed, satisfied with his victory. A week later, Rick woke up in bed, next to Lynette. She explains that his body is recovering because the magic circuits in his body were damaged. Lynette then invites Rick to join her group, Orichalcum Fist. She admired his courage and determination in battle, and believes that Rick has the potential to become a powerful adventurer. She also shared that the group's goal is to destroy Arusapieto, completely in line with Rick's dream. Filled with joy and touched by the invitation, Rick sheds happy tears, excited for the chance to finally become a real adventurer. Back to the present, Lynette congratulates Rick on becoming an official adventurer. Rick is grateful, thanking Lynette and his mentor for their training and support. I'm glad I never gave up on my dream. The day after the exam, Rick visits Lynx in the hospital to congratulate him on his discharge and fulfills his promise to go for a drink. Curious about Rick's special powers, Lynx expressed a desire to undergo similar training and was eager to meet Rick's group, causing Rick to have a complicated facial expression. A few days later, Lynx prepares to visit Rick's group, taking Rick's advice about gearing up to the highest level. Was greeted by Rick right at the entrance. Lynx comments on how there are no monsters around the castle. Rick explains that no monsters dare come near, confusing Lynx with advice about wearing high-end equipment. Inside the castle, Lynette warmly welcomed Lynx. Suddenly, Arisa came down from the stairs and fired a high-level lightning bolt at Rick, which he skillfully blocked. He gently reminded her not to use magic in the castle. And only when Lynette threatened to take Arisa's meal away did she stop with a naughty smile. While Rick was busy with Alicette, Lynx decided to explore the castle, carefully keeping the armor on like Rick had told him to when going out. In the empty lot, Lynx caught Mise engrossed in creating a new weapon. A bazooka. Mizet invited Lynx to test the invention. By shooting at the target, the weapon launches an impressive explosive rocket. But Mizet seemed dissatisfied that there were still ashes. Shows that there is room for further improvement. Lynx was nonetheless impressed with the weapon's destructive power, realizing that if the technology were mass-produced, it could completely change the nature of war. Quickly, Lynx realizes Rick's group is no ordinary person and wonders if these extraordinary events are an everyday occurrence for them. Continue to explore. He entered a room, where he found Blowstone intently reading a book. Blowstone welcomes Lynx and shares that reading helps him stay calm. Curious about Rick's training, Lynx expressed interest in Blowstone. Feel Lynx's excitement. Invited him to experience reality. The group went deep into the forest, where Lynette was picking mushrooms. Suddenly, Lynette heard a scream and discovered Lynx rolling down the mountain slope. She quickly caught up and saved him from a fatal fall. Lynx, although frightened but grateful, then realized there was a giant dead wild boar lying on the ground. Lynette simply said she would have it for dinner, leaving Lynx amazed at her strength. Lynx talked about his training ordeal, revealing that he was strapped to 500-kilogram weights and had to run down a 70-degree slope, which almost led to his death if Lynette hadn't intervened. Lynette shares that Rick went through the same type of training, but he died several times, something Lynx found hard to believe. On the way back, Lynx was amazed at Lynette's lightness when carrying 500-kilogram dumbbells. He later meets Rick and asks about the number of times he died during training, a question Rick avoids answering by praising Lynette's cooking skills. After enjoying a delicious meal, Blowstone deals with the topic of 6 gems, magical stones. When gathered enough will open the dungeon where the legendary Kaiser Arusapieto sleeps and open the door to the Spiral of Origin. Lynx, who is familiar with this legend, shares that there have been recent rumors of a sudden increase of wyvern dragons near a northern guild and a mysterious red light. This information suggests that their next adventure will lead them to that mountain. At the Northern Society, a young female F-rank adventurer named Ray Lucas, often tasked with sweeping floors, always longing for a real mission. At that moment, Rick's group appeared, wanting to accept a mission with a danger index of up to 82. However, the receptionist refused their request. The guildmaster explains that this quest requires at least 4 people, in which at least 2 people must achieve rank A or higher, while their group only has 3 members. Rick and his group realize they need to find a 4th member to temporarily accompany them. Blowstone asked the guildmaster to provide an assistant, and the guildmaster, overwhelmed by Blowstone's presence, quickly agreed. He called Ray Lucas, knew that she was eager to participate in a mission, and insisted that she join Blowstone's group. Although she was initially somewhat scared, especially by Blowstone, Ray was greeted with a handshake. Ray is curious about Rick's rank and learns that he has just reached E rank. On top of the mountain, they meet a wyvern. Before Rick could suggest a strategy, Blowstone calmly punched him, makes the wyvern fly away. Rick is concerned that the wyvern's companions may arrive as reinforcements. But Blowstone, finding the situation troublesome, asked Rick to take Ray to safety. Rick takes Ray to a safe place. As they waited, they saw wyverns being sent flying from where Blowstone and Arisa were fighting. Suddenly, a red wyvern rushed towards Rick and Ray, determined to fight. Rick confronts the red wyvern and knocked it down with a single punch straight through its head, killing it instantly. Ray is amazed by Rick's strength and asked if he was really E-class, but Rick asserts his rank. After the match, Blowstone and Arisa joined them, revealing that they completed the quest and found one of the 6 gems. Returned to the castle, the group members gather to examine the Crimson Petal gem. This gem emits a magical energy that attracts monsters and can lead them to other gems. Mizet used arcane magic on the gem, creates a land map indicating the location of the next gem. This gem is located in Herakutopia, a country famous for its martial arts competitions and famous arenas. 4 centuries ago, Herakutopia was just a small country in the desert, until the 4th king, Alexander Herakutopia, built an arena. Alexander participated in matches himself, fought without weapons and held an undefeated record in more than 10,000 matches. His power attracted challengers and spectators from across the continent, quickly turning Utopia into a powerhouse. Alexander, who built the country with his fists, was honored with the title King of Fist. When Rick's group arrives at Utopia, they pondered how to start searching for the pearl. They quickly noticed a thug harassing a woman. Rick steps forward to intervene, but Blowstone acts first, even though he's more interested in asking about the gem than protecting the woman. The thug, feeling provoked, challenges Blowstone to a back-alley duel. After a short fight, he realized that he had made a big mistake. Defeated, he agreed to answer Blowstone's questions. Rick gives out the crimson petal, and Blowstone asked him about a similar gem but yellow. Initially, Rick did not expect much from the thug's answer, but they were surprised when he revealed his knowledge of the King of Fists tournament only led them to the reigning champions for the past 3 years. They saw a burly, muscular beast warrior, causing Lynette and Blowstone to realize that the current Fist King champion is truly a formidable opponent. The thug suddenly remembered and informed them that the championship belt, prominently displayed in the center, contains the yellow magical gem they are looking for. At Red Ring's gym, the current Fist King, Kelvin. While practicing, the coach called his name. At that moment, Rick and Lynette entered the room, immediately attracting Kelvin's attention. People feel their power and curious about the reason for visiting. Rick was about to ask about the gem, but Blowstone, preferring a more straightforward approach, interrupted and demanded that Kelvin hand over the championship belt containing the jewel, offer to exchange for another gem. The coach, worried about the gym's reputation, asks them to leave, but Kelvin, intrigued, asks the coach to calm down and decides to hear them out. Kelvin, thanks to his keen sense of smell, realized that Rick's group was not lying. However, he respectfully declined the request, explaining that the belt is a proud symbol of the Harakutopian people. Instead, Kelvin suggests they win the belt by winning the Fist King tournament. Accept this challenge. Blowstone and his teammates left the gym. Rick, still hesitant, was reassured by Blowstone that participating in the tournament was the right move. The coach, uneasy about letting them go easily, underestimated them as just above average. But Kelvin, realizing the group's extraordinary strength, eagerly waited for the upcoming tournament, believed that the battles will become legendary. At the Fist King tournament qualifiers in the West region, Rick prepares to participate even though he is not very confident in his strength. He decided to fight alone in this group. Lynette offered to join, but Rick expressed a desire to face this challenge himself. He thanks her for her support. Meanwhile, Blowstone chose to play in the Eastern League alone. Rick worries that with his enormous strength, Blowstone might accidentally injure someone during the match. When Rick was called in for the test, the examiner explained the nature of the test. He will participate in a simulated match with random people, fighters who joined the tournament the previous year. The judges also clarified that, even if Rick did not win this match, he could still overcome it if his strength met the set standards. Entering the arena, Rick nervously waited for his opponent. When he heard his opponent's voice, he was surprised because it sounded familiar. When the opponent steps out, turns out it was Angelica, leading to an unexpected reunion between the two in this strange setting. When Rick and Angelica faced off in the arena, both were curious about each other's presence here. However, the judge, eager to proceed with the match, urged them to get started and suggested that they could talk later. The battle begins with Angelica determined not to lose, especially because of her pride and the fact that Rick defeated her brother, Hailing, a top A-rank adventurer. She quickly used the flash step technique, but unexpectedly, stumbled again. Regaining her composure, she blamed herself for not being careful. But when she tried flash step again, she tripped again, making her suspect that this was not a coincidence. It's strange, I don't understand why the author likes to show this angle again. Rick then reveals his newly developed skill, the first of 8 secret techniques, retreat leg sweep. Angelica, realizing the skill and strength needed to perform this move, acknowledged Rick's talent. Even though I don't want to accept failure. Despite her determination to continue, Angelica's subsequent flash step attempts all ended in her falling. Finally, she realized the futility and decides to surrender, choosing not to continue fighting Rick. After the match, Rick shares with Lynette his success in the test, officially qualifying him for the Fist King tournament as a fighter. Angelica, curious about their goal in the tournament, listen as Rick explains that his goal is to win the Fist King tournament. Angelica explains the difficult road ahead, outlines the structure of the tournaments and the requirement to place in the top 7 of the first tournament to qualify for the main event. She explains that as a new fighter, Rick will start in the 5th division and needs to win at least 7 out of 10 matches in each tournament to advance. This means more than 40 matches to reach the 1st division. a feat she considered almost impossible within a month. However, Rick was undeterred by the challenge, recalling his rigorous training and considering 40 matches in a month to be feasible. He suggested adjusting the plan with Lynette to accommodate this new challenge. Angelica, impressed and somewhat intimidated by their strength, could only advise them to quickly leave the human realm after witnessing the group's abilities. Angelica informs Rick that tournament rules only allow one athlete to compete in the same arena once per day. With dozens of preliminary arenas scattered within a radius of 30 kilometers, she emphasized that even with Rick's strength, there could be no more battles during the day. Lynette, after reviewing the schedule, urges Rick to leave immediately, reminding him of the limited time. Rick looked at his notes and realized he only had 15 minutes to get to the arena 30 kilometers away. Angelica doubted this possibility, even when traveling by carriage. But Rick decided to run in the hope of being faster. Angelica, with a skeptical look, watching Rick rush away at amazing speed. When curiously asked if Lynette was planning to watch Rick's match, Angelica was surprised when Lynette offered to take her to the arena. Lynette lifted Angelica up and jump over buildings to quickly reach the arena. Rick won the second match, feeling optimistic about his progress. He believes he can reach the first division within 4 days if he maintains his current form. An idea that Angelica found difficult to believe given the intensity of playing 10 matches a day. However, surpassing all expectations, Rick reached first place in just 3 days. Rick proudly shared this good news with Angelica, not forgetting to thank her for providing valuable information about how tournaments work. At a restaurant, Rick and Angelica discussed the breaking news surrounding Blowstone's performance in the tournament. During his matches, Blowstone met an opponent who boasted that anyone hit by his punches could not get up for 10 days. However, when this opponent punches the Blowstone, it felt like punching a giant tree trunk, completely ineffective. With just a single hit, Blowstone easily won the match. He completed all 40 matches and won each match with just one blow, reaching the first division tournament in just 2.5 days. Seeing Blowstone's incredible success, Rick felt more admired and excited than ever. In light of Blowstone's remarkable success, Rick considers returning home, confident that Blowstone can take on the rest of the tournament alone. However, Angelica provides Rick with the match schedule, explaining that in the first division, all opponents are pre-arranged. She emphasized that matches in this class are not just a fight but also part of an entertainment program with strict management from the organizers. The top 7 fighters from this tournament will advance to the main event. Angelica also explained the scoring system. Each win gets 2 points, a win via decision gets 1 point, a loss via decision gets no points, and a complete loss gets 1 point deducted. Each competitor will have 1 match against 10 selected opponents, and rankings will be determined based on accumulated points. In the next match, Rick faces an opponent using the resilient fist technique. However, Rick skillfully dodged the attack and applied the third move in secret power keeping technique. A chop to the back of the neck makes the opponent unconscious. Rick, known in fighter circles as the Old Rookie, won. In the next match, Angelica, nicknamed Lightning and 9th-ranked fighter, faces 6th-ranked fighter Taylor Blizz, dangerous deep-sea creature. Angelica opens with her forte move, Lightning Leap, but Taylor remained calm, creating a level 3 water wall for defense. Angelica immediately counterattacked with a level 2 lightning arrow, stunning Taylor. Lynette and Rick watch from the sidelines, impressed by Angelica's tactics and her strong foundation in all 4 areas of combat. Rick admits that she is stronger than her brother Hailing. However, despite her good skills, Angelica is still at a disadvantage against Taylor, who views her attacks as minor annoyances and claims to be able to endure thousands of them. Taylor then threw a strong punch at Angelica, leaving her unable to dodge, and was sent flying into the wall, instantly losing consciousness. Taylor Blizz won the match. After Angelica recovered in the infirmary, Rick is worried about her and questioned the haste in the last match. He commented that the match was not in her favor due to her opponent's strong defense and wondered why she was expending so much energy. Angelica, slightly annoyed, dismissed Rick's concerns and attempted to leave, but Rick follows, suggesting that she could have won with better planning. This made Angelica pause and thinking about discussing it in more detail with Rick. However, their conversation was interrupted by noise from a nearby restaurant. They walked over curiously and saw Taylor, the fighter from the previous match, in trouble. An aggressive dragon is confronting a waitress, and Taylor tries to protect her. But unfortunately, Taylor was defeated instantly, was knocked down by the dragon man, and stomped on it. Both Rick and Angelica were stunned to see Taylor defeated so easily. Angelica explains that the attacker is a dragonborn, a race typically larger than humans. This dragon man is even bigger than Blowstone. Things became more tense when the dragonborn, angered by a spilled drink, tore the waitress's dress. When Angelica stepped forward to intervene, the Dragon Man turned his anger towards her. Rick quickly intervened. But Giz threatened to kill him. At that moment, another dragon person, dressed in luxurious clothes, appeared. This person calmly advised Giz not to act impulsively before the main match. Realizing the newcomer was Snape, Giz reluctantly left the restaurant. Snape apologized to the restaurant staff for the disturbance and offered compensation. Snape then turned to Rick, greeting him in a friendly manner. Snape introduced himself as Snape Lazarecht, head administrator of the Western Tournament. Rick is surprised at how Snape knows him, but Snape explains that Rick's rapid rise to the top level of the tournament has made him a notable figure in the tournament's history. Rick immediately realized that Snape had been a gladiator, a feeling that became clear when he shook Snape's hand and learned that Snape had been trained in combat. Snape admits this, but says it was 20 years ago. Snape reveals that as a dragon, his physique makes it easy for him to attract attention and fame. Snape also explains that Giz Lizarect is his younger brother, and apologizes for Giz's behavior, describing Giz as someone who gets angry easily with those he perceives as weaker than him and is difficult to control because of his strength. Snape expressed his inability to manage his younger brother's behavior. After apologizing again, and asked about Angelica's condition, Snape left, leaving Rick curious about the connection between Angelica and Snape. Angelica then reveals that Snape is her fiancé, and was also the driving force that made her participate in being a gladiator. Angelica admits she was stuck at number 9 for a while, and wanted to go far in this year's tournament, explaining why she was in a hurry in the last match. Rick is surprised to learn about Angelica's engagement to a dragon, a reaction that made Angelica laugh and tease him for being slow to grasp the problem. She further explained that this marriage was related to her family's aristocratic background. Snape has the right to sponsor a player in the tournament, in order to manipulate the results for profit. By betting on the opponents of strong fighters he sponsored and ensuring victory through match fixing. Snape plans to amass a fortune. But Angelica suspects that Snape's aim is not just money but also the strengthening of aristocratic bonds through marriage. To foil his plans, Angelica, determined to avoid marriage with Snape and regain her freedom, believes the best strategy is to defeat Giz, the gladiator sponsored by Snape, before any settlement plot can take place. This determination motivated her to continue participating in the tournament. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Rick offered to support Angelica during her training. In short, she wanted to fight on her own to escape the forced situation. The next morning, Angelica eagerly prepares for the training session planned by Rick. Even though he warned me about the severity of the training session, Angelica, confident and ready to face the challenge, participates in the training session Rick has prepared for her. They came to a large field, where Rick initially suggested she run 20 kilometers, a seemingly feasible task. However, Angelica was shocked to see Rick arming herself with heavy weights, 30 kilograms for each arm and leg, adding to the difficulty. To further challenge, Rick tied a rope to Angelica, and started running at a speed of more than 100 kilometers per hour, dragging her behind. This speed far exceeds the capabilities of Angelica's blink step technique, pushing her to the limit of her physical strength and testing her endurance. Rick explains that the purpose of this training session is to help Angelica's body get used to the fast movements. Notice that although her initial acceleration was strong, her subsequent movements were unstable. The goal was to improve her flexibility and control at high speed. Rick shares that he went through the same process, being dragged by Lynette to practice his speed and endurance. After 6 hours of exhaustion, Angelica collapsed, begging for rest. However, Rick encouraged her. Try to overcome your limits. Complimented her endurance and compared it to his own initial training experience, where he faced death 3 times on his first day alone. Angelica brags that she survived the first day without having to endure the same extremes as Rick. But he just smiled and revealed that they had only just finished the morning. When she realized that there was still practice left after lunch, Angelica was surprised, and insisted on a longer break. After 5 days of intense training, Angelica sat in a restaurant. Eat your meal in a depressed state. She said she gave up, not out of fear but because it felt more like being tortured than preparing for the tournament. Angelica admitted that Rick's strength came from his ability to endure intense exercise for 2 years. When Rick joined her at the restaurant, Angelica braced herself for a scolding from him. However, Rick has no intention of scolding Angelica. Instead, he wanted to share his experiences over the past 2 years. Initially cheerful, Rick's expression gradually turned serious as he talked about the countless times he died during training. He specifically mentioned one incident, when killed by Alisette's magic, and Blowstone, due to mana exhaustion, had to rely on Alicette to infuse him with mana to revive him. Hearing about Rick's harsh training regimen and repeated deaths shocked Angelica. Rick reflects on his experience, wondering which is easier, endure current hardship or face regret. In the end, he chose to appreciate the current hardships, agreeing with his predecessor's thoughts that accepting those challenges is commendable. Angelica then shared her background, expressing her dissatisfaction with traditional coaching methods. Angelica, despite being a noble lady, always feels conflicted about her true desires. Subjected to the expectations of the aristocracy, she aspires to become the strongest knight. It is better to endure current suffering than to comply with social norms. Determined to continue training, Angelica asked Rick to meet her at her usual training location after he ate. Surprisingly, Rick was there first. Thinks Angelica needs to increase her training intensity even more. He decided to enroll Lynette in Angelica's training program. Recognized Lynette's expertise in turning bare-knuckle skill into an elite swordsmanship technique. 20 days later, on the final day of the First Division tournament, Angelica entered the decisive match against Silva Helgand, a 7th-ranked boxer nicknamed the Crazy Beast. Winning this match will help her win a ticket to the main tournament. After rigorous training, Angelica entered the arena in her demon form. When the match started, she wasted no time and immediately threw a strong kick, sending Silva flying straight into the wall. This decisive blow not only demonstrated Angelica's superior fighting skills, but also confirmed that the victory helped her advance to the main tournament. With the position of 7th-ranked boxer in the West League, with a squad of 14 gladiators ready, the day the main tournament starts, an excited atmosphere filled the arena. When 16 top gladiators gathered to prepare for the official competition, excitement filled the air as the players prepared to draw lots to determine their opponents. Angelica picked number 14, while Rick picked number 12, making it possible for them to face each other in the semi-finals. Defending champion Kelvin Ervolf appeared amid wild cheers and drew number 1. Made Rick breathe a sigh of relief when he learned that he could only meet Blowstone, who was drawn number 7, in the finals if they both passed their matches. Gis, sponsored boxer. The number was drawn, but the organizers secretly changed it into the number 15, ensuring favorable opponents. Angelica, realizing Snape's manipulation, understand that a plan is being made with the role of Gis. The official tournament table will be announced the next day, with the opening match between Kelvin Ervolf and Eddie Grace. Blowstone, along with the others, wanted to witness Kelvin's power. As the match begins, Eddie tries a fake attack, but Kelvin did not flinch. Delivered a powerful hook to Eddie's face, creating an opening highlight for his overwhelming power. Blowstone was impressed with Kelvin's ability to detect fake attacks, attributing it to Kelvin's special nose, allowing him to accurately detect and counter Eddie's attacks. Kelvin's decisive victory over Eddie, the more he affirms his strength, leading Blowstone to predict a tough semi-final match against Kelvin, who appears to be going through his first opponents with ease. Blowstone, Rick, and Angelica both won the first round without any problems, and the audience is completely satisfied. In the next match, Gis Lizarek faced Herman Muller. The match started indifferently, and Gis's sleepiness, an attitude that Herman tries to exploit with a JoJo-style punch. However, Gis's gentle blow, which Herman barely avoided in time, created a shockwave, surprising Herman, demonstrating Gis's incredible strength. Even though Herman tried to attack continuously, he was unable to cause any significant damage to Gis. Angelica commented that despite finishing second in the West League, Herman couldn't do anything to Gis either. Gis then punched the ground hard, creating a smokescreen that disorients Herman. Taking the opportunity, he swung his hand and delivered a fatal blow, knocking Herman out of the competition with just a single blow. After the match, Rick observed that while Gis possessed considerable strength and endurance, his movements showed a lack of training, suggesting that perhaps Gis had never actually trained. Practice seriously. As Angelica and Rick approach Gis, Angelica warns him to be more careful in the next match, where she will be his opponent. Recognizing Angelica as his brother Snape's fiancée, Gis nonchalantly said that he would avoid hitting her in the face to preserve her image for the wedding. Even suggested that Angelica should give up so he could save himself the effort. Angered by Gis's disrespectful attitude towards the gladiators, Angelica criticized him for disregarding the serious training of others. Gis arrogantly asserts that his physique and natural talent are natural. You don't have to practice like everyone else. Before leaving, he sarcastically said that he would avoid hitting Angelica in the stomach so she could give birth to Snape's child, causing Angelica to seethe with anger and determination to retaliate in the upcoming match. Angelica is determined to defeat Gis, declaring that she will teach him a memorable lesson. On the second day of competition, Rick's team, including Snape, took a seat to watch the anticipated match between Angelica and Gis. The match begins with Angelica using Flash Step to throw a kick at Gis, but it seemed to have no effect on him, despite being agile and trying to take advantage of technique to deal with Gis's brute strength. Her attacks proved useless against his natural durability. Angelica realized that she needed to use the new technique she had been trained by Lynette, turning bare hands into blades through technique. Mana inverse reflection flash step. Angelica uses the thread cutting technique and left a cut on Gis. This surprised Snape at his brother's incredible endurance. Angered, Gis created a smokescreen and tried to ambush Angelica. Despite his efforts, she continued to dodge thanks to her enhanced speed. However, Gis proves his superior abilities. When disappeared, then appeared right behind Angelica, threw a powerful punch that sent her crashing into the wall. Even though she suffered many injuries, Angelica was determined not to give up, motivated by her determination not to lose to someone who despised the value of effort. As Gis prepared to deliver the final blow with the goal of ending the match with a fatal blow, Rick called for the referee to intervene out of concern for Angelica's safety. However, the referee could not act in time, and when Gis's punch almost touched Angelica, that shot mysteriously deflected and hit the wall instead of hitting the target. The match ended with victory awarded to Gis, but he felt his blow had been deflected by an outside force. His suspicions fell on Rick, who expressed hidden anger as if he had interfered with the final blow. Angelica was then taken to the medical room, leaving Lynette wondering about Rick's whereabouts. Mise suggests that Rick was provoked by someone, and show pity to the person who angered him. On the walkway, Rick encountered Gis, who eagerly awaits a match with him. However, Rick calmly refused and advised him to be patient, promising a fierce confrontation in front of the audience the next day. Gis, in frustration, punched the wall and eagerly awaited the encounter he had been waiting for. Rick's next opponent is speed wizard Michelangelo. Right from the beginning of the match, Michael unleashed a level 7 magic attack. But Rick quickly countered with a ground-crushing punch. Take down Michael immediately, and win with just one punch. After the match, Rick stopped by the infirmary to visit Angelica. The nurse assured Angelica that her life was not in danger, but she needs time to recover. Rick sympathizes with Angelica's frustration after the strenuous training process, and encouraged her to watch his match the next day to see the results of their efforts. Blowstone and Kelvin also won the match easily, creating an attractive semi-final match. Kelvin faces off against Blowstone, and Rick faces off against Gis. Rick spends the entire night carefully preparing for the battle with Gis. On the third day of the tournament, when the semi-finals were about to begin, Angelica, healed by Blowstone, reassures Rick about her condition. She expressed regret about her failure. Feel like I've failed, but Rick encouraged her, taking responsibility for underestimating Gis's strength, and advised her to carefully observe his upcoming match. Angelica joins Rick's group in the stands, while Snape bet on his younger brother Gis, and the others support Rick. When the match starts, Gis provokes Rick, but he responded with a strong slap, causing Gis to stagger and vomiting blood. Rick clearly shows his contempt, urging Gis to stand up and fight fairly. Gis tried to counterattack with a punch, but Rick skillfully pushed from below, causing Gis to lose momentum and have to kneel on the ground. Angelica was surprised to see that Rick had successfully damaged Gis. Mizet explains that Rick used a body control technique called the internal strike, concentrates impact force internally instead of externally, effective even against the Dragonborn's sturdy body. Gis then activated Dragon Force, increased speed significantly. Rick was surprised by Gis's sudden speed. Even though he was able to block the knee kick, the force of the thrust still sent him flying backwards. Gis continued to attack, tried to stab Rick with his claws, but Rick quickly dodged. Even though I tried to create distance, Gis still quickly approached and delivered a kick to Rick's face. Rick rushed to attack Gis, but he counterattacked with his iron body, making Rick's attack ineffective. Gis continued to use cutting thread, nearly hit Rick and left a tear on his shirt. Gis then uses the same technique, Rick's powerful blow from behind, causing Rick to fall. Gis taunts Rick, calling him a useless civilian. Rick endured a few more blows, but still looked calm, while Gis started to get exhausted. Rick then reveals another technique. Fluid body helps disperse impact force throughout the body, minimizing damage from Gis's attacks. He also revealed that he restrained his strength to match Angelica's physical strength, in order to prove her potential in battle. Blowstone commented that this match was essentially an indirect fight between Angelica and Gis. Angry, Gis prepared the final attack, combining iron body and sturdy fist, and Angelica's signature blink step rhyme. Rick responded with a powerful punch, criticized Gis for imitating other people's techniques without due care. The punch hit Gis right in the stomach, forcing him to kneel. Snape was impressed by Rick's ability to bring Gis into submission, wondering if Rick had the potential to surpass even Gis. However, Rick explains that Rick is just an ordinary middle-aged man. While Blowstone commented that Rick was beyond the age for mana training, with a mana pool even lower than that of the average villager. Angelica realizes that Rick's strength comes from persistently enduring 2 years of harsh training. A much longer period of time than her training period. Rick mocks Gis for his inexperience, exhaustion, and inability to maintain technical precision. He argues that hard work trumps talent, and that is their true strength. Responding to Gis's desperate punch, Rick unleashed another internal attack, causing internal damage to Gis's arm. Despite recognizing Gis's natural talent, Rick emphasized that without hard work, Gis is just a level 1 rookie. He emphasized that talent needs to be practiced and instincts must be honed. Angered by Rick's advice, Gis transforms into a larger dragon form, activating dragon recursion, then threw a strong punch, causing Rick to be thrown into the wall. Rick quickly recovered by using Blink Step and dealing an internal attack on Gis. But this attack is ineffective against his metal-hard body. Gis's sudden tail strike stunned Rick, clearly showing his opponent's advantage. Realizing that it was impossible to defeat Gis based on a power level equivalent to Angelica's, Rick decides to no longer suppress his powers and adjusts his powers to reflect 6 months of intensive training. Gis is surprised to learn that Rick had previously restrained his powers. Rick easily dodged all of Gis's attacks, adjust strength to the equivalent of 9 months of training, and continued to deliver internal attacks, causing obvious damage to Gis. Gis tried to counterattack, but cannot keep up with Rick's speed. Rick disappeared from sight again, dodging all of Gis's attempts, then increased his strength to the equivalent of 12 months of intense training. Rick moved so fast that Gis couldn't notice, while Angelica, witnessing this performance, felt inspired, and believed that with a year of similar training, she could also gain such strength. Rick continuously uses Flash Step, overwhelming Gis and pushing him to the limit of his strength. In the midst of a battle of talent and effort, Gis recklessly rushed forward. But Rick counterattacks with the cutting thread technique, penetrates Gis's metal body and causes him to lose consciousness. Rick wins the semi-finals, commented that Gis was lucky for not having to face Angelica after she completed that 1 year of hypothetical training. Rick and Angelica exchanged a thumbs up, celebrating their victory. Despite his brother's defeat and significant financial loss, Snape remained calm, accepting the outcome of the match. Snape admitted to losing a large sum of money, but part of him also wanted to see Gis taken down. Realize the difference between your own efforts and just relying on your natural talent. Snape did not regret this outcome and was sad that he had missed his chance to marry Angelica, whom he praised as an excellent woman. With some regret, Snape said goodbye to Angelica. Meanwhile, Blowstone prepares for his match with Kelvin, causing the audience to explode with excitement. Kelvin walked in under warm applause. But the tension suddenly increased when Gis, still suffering the consequences of dragon recursion, suddenly rushed at Kelvin. With remarkable calmness, Kelvin knocked out Gis with just one punch, impressed the crowd, and assert his position as a formidable champion, on par with S-rank warriors. The match between Kelvin and Blowstone began. Kelvin opened with powerful JoJo punches aimed straight at Blowstone. Blowstone can block all of Kelvin's attack. With his flexibility, Kelvin quickly moved behind Blowstone to strike. But Blowstone still counterattacked brilliantly, showing outstanding strength and defense. Kelvin continued to use his acrobatic skill to throw a slashing kick, but Blowstone blocked it, and responded with a powerful jaw hook. Even though Kelvin avoided a direct hit, the shockwave from Blowstone's punch still caused great damage to the arena. Realizing Blowstone's extraordinary strength, Kelvin admitted that this was the toughest opponent he had ever faced. Finally, there is a worthy opponent whose eyes shine with determination for the legendary match. Kelvin initially thought that Blowstone was just a warrior who relied on raw strength. But Kelvin quickly realized the importance of the 5 main skills in the match and rated Blowstone as a well-rounded opponent with high stats in all areas. He noticed that from the beginning of the match until now, Blowstone had never moved from his original position, making Kelvin wonder if Blowstone was intentionally giving him an advantage. Realizing that he had unintentionally created a disadvantage for his opponent. Even if I try to stop it. This greatly impressed Kelvin. Kelvin then combined his JoJo punch with normal punches and the rolling fang technique into a relentless chain of attacks targeting Blowstone, and skillfully dodged the technique rolling fang. When Kelvin tried a low kick, Blowstone absorbs the attack and counterattacks with an uppercut. Kelvin just had time to avoid a direct punch, but the shock wave from Blowstone's blow still impacted him, causing a crack in his ribs from just the slightest impact. This reveals that contrary to the appearance of total balance, Blowstone's strength and defense are truly outstanding, making him a warrior who relies on overwhelming strength. Blowstone then used telepathy on Kelvin, who immediately realized Blowstone was holding back his power. Kelvin confessed that he found it difficult to fight hard after becoming stronger 7 years ago. In an abandoned slum, Kelvin's future coach and his colleagues searched for potential fighters. Hearing rumors about the hungry wolf of the slums, they were curious to test his strength. Upon arriving at Kelvin's residence, they discovered he had defeated most of the thugs in the area. Impressed by Kelvin's strength, they confirmed that he was the hungry wolf and expressed their intentions. They own a fighting gym at Herakutopia and wanted to recruit Kelvin because of his potential. The trainer offers Kelvin a chance to use his fists at Herakutopia, promising that he will be well fed and face stronger opponents. Fascinated by this prospect, Kelvin was lured by the invitation. And when he arrived at Herakutopia, he was amazed at the stark difference between the vibrant city and the slums where he once lived. At the gym, he discovered that this place gathered top fighters from the King Fist tournament. Although eager to show off, Kelvin was quickly defeated by the 4 strongest fighters. The coach anticipated this, believing that with time and coaching, Kelvin's talent and experience would improve significantly. Despite initial failure, Kelvin was not discouraged. On the contrary, it gives more motivation to become stronger with each match. Kelvin enjoys dishes he has never tasted before and devoted himself to rigorous training. After just 1 year, he participated in the King Fist tournament, advanced to the final round and faced the champion 2 years in a row. Kelvin's confidence has never wavered, and the final was surprisingly easy, marking his ascension as a new champion. Everyone in the gym celebrated Kelvin's victory together at the restaurant. Everyone congratulated him. However, Kelvin felt a lack of interest. The matches seemed like just routine work. His opponents almost stood still, unable to keep up with his attacks. Repeated victories, with no real challenge, made Kelvin feel discouraged even after only a year of training. Kelvin realized that he could be even stronger, but also understands that constant training can make him lose the joy in matches. Still, he persisted in practicing, enjoy the feeling of growing stronger, and a desire to meet the coach's expectations. The man who saved him from the slums. After once again winning the Fist King tournament with a single blow, Kelvin no longer feels joy in his victories. A year later, he overheard the conversation about the tournament losing its appeal due to his dominance, threatening the gym's revenue. Despite suggestions of match fixing, Kelvin's teacher firmly refused. Values Kelvin's reputation as the strongest champion, rather than the financial benefit of the gym. Kelvin understood that his teacher considered him a son, after his biological son suddenly passed away at the age of 19. This discovery made Kelvin even more determined not to do anything that would cause difficulties for his teacher, even when having to reduce the power during the match to please the audience. This approach helps gyms and tournaments regain their appeal, proving that Kelvin's decision to bring joy to the audience is his way of repaying his teacher's efforts. During his match with Blowstone, Kelvin confessed that he found it difficult to fight seriously. Blowstone responded by using only 2 fingers. But even though I tried to restrain it, Blowstone's power was still too overwhelming, easily blocked, and counter Kelvin's JoJo attacks. Kelvin's coach, upon witnessing the match, urged Kelvin not to underestimate Blowstone and fight with all your might. He emphasized that his lifelong dream was to forge the strongest warrior in history, and placed all that trust in Kelvin. The coach clarified that his son's legacy is a different story, just for Kelvin, with the advice to focus entirely on becoming the strongest, to fulfill his teacher's dream as the most worthy way to repay his gratitude. Inspired by those words, Kelvin prepares for battle. He disappeared in an instant, then rushed forward and threw a punch at Blowstone, who responded by blocking the punch with just 5 fingers, instead of just 2. Blowstone responded with a punch, but Kelvin quickly dodged and create distance, then cast a level 5 spell. Fire waves target Blowstone. Angelica was surprised to find that Kelvin, of the Dogman species that was weak in magic, can also cast a 5th level spell. Blowstone reacted immediately, stomping the ground to erect a defensive wall, infuse mana into it to block the fire. Rick observed Kelvin's natural talent and his perseverance in training, recognized Kelvin as a true genius, on par with Blowstone. As Kelvin prepared another spell, Blowstone saw an opportunity and punched the molten wall, causing debris to fly towards Kelvin. Kelvin avoided them with a quick jump, then cast a 7th level spell, Jungle Rope, to tie Blowstone. While Blowstone is bound, Kelvin begins casting 8th level magic. Summon a meteorite aimed directly at the opponent. However, Blowstone quickly broke the bondage, and with a powerful punch, he smashed the meteorite, surprising everyone, including Kelvin. Blowstone expressed respect for Kelvin's determination to fight hard and pledged to respond with the same strength. He raised his thumb sideways, a gesture Rick interpreted as a quarter thumb in orc language. Denotes a refusal to avoid or defend, a willingness to face head-on. Blowstone's approach shows he was ready to attack. For the first time, Kelvin felt shy. In response, Kelvin used a 6th level spell, Electrical Blast, and Blowstone received the attack without dodging. Blowstone provoked Kelvin for restraining his power, urging him to give his best. Then rushed over, throw a powerful punch. Kelvin dodged, but the power of Blowstone's punch devastated the entire arena, causing destruction and perhaps sending some spectators away forever. Hope they bought insurance before watching this match. Kelvin realized that he could no longer rely on his sharp nose to predict Blowstone's movements, and switched to continuously casting 4th to 6th level spells. However, Blowstone did not flinch and continued to advance, ignoring magical attacks. As Kelvin was about to cast a 7th level spell, Blowstone broke through your defenses, throw a powerful punch, causing Kelvin to be thrown away. Although Kelvin tried to minimize the damage by using defensive techniques such as flexible body, the force of the blow still caused him to stagger. Rick, witnessing Kelvin's tenacity and ability to quickly improvise in defense, couldn't help but admire him. He commented that Kelvin had shown considerable effort in minimizing the impact of Blowstone's powerful punch. However, Kelvin, now lying on the ground and coughing up blood, realized the severity of his injury. However, with the determination to honor the coach's dream, Kelvin stood up and cast a series of 7th level spells without chanting, "Gather all your remaining mana," without giving in, based on the remaining physical strength for the final attack. With cheers from the audience, Kelvin gathered his strength. For the final shot, Kelvin combines lightning leaps, hard fists, and various forms of magic into a move he calls Katai Rusangan, Rolled Fang. This precise strike hit Blowstone, who praised Kelvin's extraordinary effort, even if it's just a little bit pushed back. Realizing I've given my all? Kelvin accepted defeat. Blowstone replied with a respectful punt. End of the match, and confirmed his victory. The audience simultaneously applauded Kelvin's heroic efforts, praising the fighting spirit and admirable skills of both gladiators. Blowstone wins the match. 2 years ago, when Rick first arrived at the main base of the Orichalcom Steel Authority, at Beakhill Castle, you met Blowstone, and the two shook hands. Just through the handshake, Blowstone immediately recognized Rick's lack of martial arts knowledge and inexperienced demeanor, based on his muscular movements and weak energy flow. Blowstone points out Rick's shortcomings. Of the 4 fundamental aspects of being an adventurer, pay special attention to your low mana pool. However, Blowstone also realized that Rick has potential thanks to the ability to activate conditions, but this is an ability that is difficult to make the most of. Blowstone does not discourage Rick. Instead, he suggested that Rick needed to undergo significantly more training than someone with natural talent would require, and asked Rick if he was up for the challenge. Fast forward to the present, when the final match between Rick and Blowstone is about to take place. Rick, having completed his quest to find the gem, is considering giving up. He was surprised by Blowstone's excitement for the final battle. When he patted Rick on the shoulder, left in Rick's heart a great pressure. Angelica reached out to Rick. Discovered he was alone in the room. Although she and Snape tried to encourage Rick to participate in the finals, Rick is still concerned about his safety when confronting Blowstone. This disappointed Angelica, because she had always respected Rick as a teacher. Mizet later shares with Rick that Blowstone's comprehensive training plan appears to have been planned in advance. Seems intended to create an opponent capable of challenging a Rusapito warrior. Mizet revealed the real goal behind the training. Is Blowstone's wish to have someone equal in battle? Reflects the Orshish's desire to fight and at the same time alleviates the loneliness caused by his overwhelming power. Encouraged to consider Blowstone's perspective, Rick reconsiders his decision. On the day of the final match, both entered the arena amid enthusiastic applause. Rick's presence brings joy to Snape and pride to those who have placed their hopes on him. To ensure safety, Mizet was up. A wall of air surrounds the arena, protecting the spectators, creating a majestic scene for the final match. When the battle begins, Rick realized that throughout the tournament, he had been focusing on containing his powers. However, when facing Blowstone at his peak, he prioritized evasion to avoid serious consequences. To everyone's surprise, Rick's lightning jump demonstrated unprecedented speed, exceeding Angelica and Kelvin's expectations. Rick launched an attack, not just cracking the ground, but also left a small scratch on Blowstone's arm. Although Rick moves extremely quickly, and unleashed a series of sudden punches, Blowstone is still proficient at blocking all attacks, resulting in a high-speed sequence of attacks and defenses. Feeling a deadly punch coming from Blowstone, Rick instinctively put distance between them, deciding to stay out of danger. Rick counterattacks with the cut thread technique and causes another scratch on the blowstone, causing the audience to explode with excitement. Kelvin and Angelica struggle to follow the dizzying movements of the two combatants, amazed at the power they were witnessing. Although still afraid, Rick remained steadfast in his determination to fight, while Blowstone decided to switch to offense instead of defense, prepared to deliver a shockwave punch from afar. Predictably, Rick was ready to dodge. However, Blowstone, don't just throw a punch, but a series of continuous shockwaves, a technique that Mizet describes as Blowstone's normal punches, capable of continuous attacks, causing Rick to not have time to react and get closer. When faced with this onslaught, Rick worried that he wouldn't be able to dodge the upcoming punch, but when the dust settles, Rick was seen using a level 1 defense skill to deflect Blowstone's punch. And what's more, without chanting a spell, made Kelvin extremely impressed. Blowstone praises Rick's skillful parrying technique, while Angelica couldn't help but acknowledge the intensity of the match, likened it to a clash of S-rank gladiators, where they demonstrated abilities far beyond human limits. Blowstone, with the pride of a teacher, praised Rick for becoming stronger, and expressed that Rick deserved his respect. Rick was surprised by Blowstone's compliment, because he knew that Blowstone never lied or gave empty praise. Rick felt honored, but also realized it wasn't enough to fulfill Blowstone's dream, a boxing match with an equal opponent. Rick shares what Mizet told him about Blowstone's dream, and expressed his desire to reciprocate that devotion. He asked Blowstone about the reasons behind the desire for a fair boxing match. More open, Blowstone began talking about his past 46 years ago. Traditionally, orc tribes lived in communities segregated by gender, but from a young age, Blowstone realized that he was different from his family and other orcs, characteristic gray skin and superior intelligence compared to his peers. Blowstone taught himself to read and write through the books left by humans, gradually absorbing human lifestyles and habits, and named himself Blowstone. He also learned martial arts, knowledge of magic and healing magic. For among orc tribes, disputes were often resolved by fighting, and the strongest became leader. Blowstone's father, the clan leader, did not understand why he spent all day reading and eventually challenged him to a duel about it. When Blowstone defeated his father in a duel, he became a leader when he was only 10 years old. Thanks to accumulated knowledge, Blowstone improved the living conditions of the tribe, building houses, cooking over fires, and teaching them how to communicate non-violently. Gradually, the tribe began to see him as a god rather than a leader. No one dared to challenge him or wanted to duel with him anymore. Even his family respected him from afar. Blowstone reminisces about a time when his family used to resolve conflicts with fists, then share meals together. But now, as a god, he can only watch from afar, leading to a deep feeling of loneliness. One day, after living for 10 years in isolation, Blowstone ventured out in a heavy rain to collect materials to build a landslide barrier. When he returned, he found his tribe had been completely massacred. The shock came not because he couldn't save them, but because he realized he didn't feel sad at all. It's just that the loneliness becomes deeper. Afterwards, Blowstone began wandering aimlessly until he came across a village being attacked by monsters. With one punch, he defeated the monster easily. But the villagers, mistaking him for another monster, ran away in fear. An adventurer sought to confront Blowstone. But when he realized his extraordinary strength, and understanding that Blowstone had just saved the village, the adventurer decided to approach and interact with him. Blowstone tells his story, expressing his desire to find people of equal talent. The adventurer revealed that he had fought alongside the hero Yamato in the Five Great Legends team 200 years ago and shared his unfulfilled dream of defeating Kaiser Arusapieto. Pieto Blowstone, who had heard the legend of Yamato, was surprised to learn that these events were true. The adventurer blessed Blowstone, hoping that he would achieve what they could not, and that powerful allies would walk with him. From there, Blowstone became an adventurer and founded Orichalcom Steel Authority. Brings together members like Mizet, Alicet, and Lynette. Although strong, it still could not fulfill Blowstone's desire for an equal fight, a dream he had never confessed. When he proposed a harsh training plan, his members doubted that anyone could endure it, causing Blowstone to gradually give up hope for that dream. Listen to Blowstone's story. Rick realized his fear was actually unreasonable, and feel grateful for the opportunity to pursue my own dreams. Rick declares that they will both give up defense and focus entirely on attack. Both Rick and Blowstone exchanged a thumbs up, then jump into the fight with powerful punches. Their punches created a shock so great that it destroyed the ground below. The attacks were so intense, shock waves from the fight began to crack the air wall protecting the arena. As they continued to fight, even though they both started coughing up blood, they are still determined not to stop. Continue to attack relentlessly. Finally, the power comes from the match. Break the protective wall? Mizette quickly urged Snape to evacuate the audience. And the crowd began to leave the arena. Kelvin, however, decides to stay. Asked his gym members and trainers to leave without him. Angelica was blown away by the momentum of the battle. But Snape promptly caught it. And take her to safety. Surprised that Snape didn't leave, she realized that he wanted to witness the fight as a veteran gladiator. After a long series of exchanges, both Blowstone and Rick were exhausted. But they persisted. Throw punches? When it seemed like Rick's endurance was about to reach its limit, Blowstone threw a powerful punch, causing Rick to be thrown out of the arena. Kelvin, Angelica and others who witnessed this scene thought the match might be over. Rick, believing he had fought hard, considered returning to rest. However, feeling that he was not yet at his full strength, Rick clenched his fists, ready to activate his innate ability. The conditions for activating this ability require him to be determined to overcome his limits and confront an opponent much stronger than him. With his reckless soul activated, Rick exploded with a powerful aura. Surprised Blowstone. In response, Blowstone took off his prayer beads, implying that he will not need to use healing spells on Rick in this match. These beads enhance the effectiveness of healing spells. And also very heavy, his removal of them signals a moment of liberation, reminiscent of a similar scene in the manga where Rock Lee removes his leg weights in Naruto. Kelvin took a deep breath, preparing to witness the complete release of their power. Rick rushes towards Blowstone. With a smile on my lips, ready to launch his strongest attack, and Blowstone, with determination, prepared to receive Rick's powerful blow. After enduring Rick's strong blow, Blowstone countered with an uppercut into Rick's stomach, opening up an intense exchange of punches between them. Blowstone remembered his long-held dream of a fair boxing match, but realized that he was no longer alone when there are teammates willing to go to the end for him. Appreciating his companions, Blowstone received another powerful punch from Rick. With a smile on his face as the match reached its climax, both fighters have reached their limits, but still prepare for the final punch. The impact from the attack created a massive explosion, covering the arena in thick smoke. When the smoke cleared, both were still standing. But Rick, respecting Blowstone's endurance and determination, fall down and accept defeat. The host officially announced Blowstone as the winner of the 113th tournament. However, Blowstone, realizing the profound meaning of the match and the fulfilled dream, saw Rick as the real winner. Before he too was exhausted and collapsed, their confrontation ended in a sacred and profound moment, marking a meaningful end to their legendary rivalry. What a beautiful, simple but wonderful moment.